Good morning. Good morning, Africa. Good morning, President Hakainde Hichilema, Cyril Ramaphosa, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and former President Zuma, EFF leader Julius Malema, EFF leader Kasonde Mwenda, Ibrahim Tarao, Burkina Faso, who is the president of Africa. I'm presenting the issue of the letter that I wrote to President Hakainde. When I wrote this letter on the 30th, okay, before I talk of this letter, I just want to showcase to say I still have a letter that I wrote to Levi Manawasa, 12th May, that is 12th May 2007. I think this is the letter that we will look after finishing the two letters that I've written to Hakainde Hichilema. So these letters, they contain the actual gravity of truth regarding the prophecies that I'm talking about. So in this letter, it was actually addressed to, it was copied to Hakainde Hichilema. Let me see the last copy. Where is it? Yeah, this is the last copy and it's even torn. When you look at this last copy, it was addressed to Hakainde Hichilema also as a copy. You can see there is also Mavis Miunda, there is Venon Mwanga, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, so forth, FTJ Chiluba. So I want to say that these people, they have the copy in their homes. Since I also have it, since 2007, I've kept it, despite that it is looking dirty because the time when I was arrested, they were not kept very well. And at UN, there were some rains that were soaked while still sleeping outside, destroying many documents. Even all my photos were destroyed. But thank God, certain letters that contains the prophets were protected by His grace. In the letter that we are looking at yesterday, I read until the 3rd page, paragraph 2. But there are some other attachments that I attached to this letter which I did not read. And I have those attachments today, which has actually forced me to say perhaps I can also look into other issues just to make a solid introduction of what constitutes gross negligence regarding my persecution in the country of Asylum, based on the reason that I left Zambia because they attempted to kill me. When I was actually not aiming to harm anyone, but I was aiming to save the nation from economical slavery, which today the nation is passing through hard times, pleading with the United States of America to give them donor aid in order for patients of HIV/AIDS to survive, in order for agriculture to prosper, in order for the government to pay their soldiers. I know that the soldiers in Africa, those who are under democracy, are being paid by US. And that's the reason why you find that presidents, they have no power as the commander-in-chief, because the paymaster is the United States. So as a result, we are being controlled as Africa. And that control has led us to lose the sovereignty as African nations, which are supposed to be one continent. We are being terrorized by scandals, because when a scandal is on TV and when a scandal is staged, you think that it is true. Your former president did crimes against humanity. Well, it's something that has been planted, is something that is well organized, and is something that money is used to buy people to come and speak in public and demonstrate that indeed Edgar Lungu was a monster. Indeed, President Kaunda was a monster. Indeed, all the presidents that have been alleged, like Hichilema, was actually criminalized right, left, center, because he changed his mind of privatization. He could not finish it privatization when he received the warning through this book that I wrote, The Airport Trap, where I actually pointed out to say the democracy of privatization is a denial of our right, is a false democracy. God revealed it to me. And today, the social media is full of people, even from Europe and America. They are saying this democracy is a fake democracy. So now, when God warned about this democracy, leaders in Zambia could not accept it. And they were warned, they were supposed to publicize the revelation to other African leaders so that Africa can unite. And the rise of Ibrahim Traoré is the only thing that is the last hope for Africa to unite. So now, to summarize the introduction of this letter that I wrote on 30th December and saved to Hakainde Hichilema, I believe I need to touch certain things before I could proceed to prove that when I say that I was arrested at the United Nations for High Commission for Refugees, this is my proof. The notice of arrest, the notice of rights in terms of the Constitution, Section 35 of the Act number 108 of 1996. You are being detained for the following reason: trespassing and intimidation. My name is here, Alex Masuka. Okay? So even the arresting officer, the one who detained me, the place of my detention, it was Brooklyn. Time, it was 15 hours. So this is the certificate. This is, I was a refugee, and my certificate, my ID was valid by then, at the time of my arrest. It was expiring date, it was 2021. So by this date, when I was arrested, this was 2021, May 24. So now, being arrested at United Nations as a refugee is something that shows that these trespass and intimidation, these alleged cases, they are false. And when I'm saying that political arrest of crime of proceeds without a record in government, which shows that the Minister of Police, Charity Katanga, misplaced so much millions which were given to her by the government to institute certain operations. It's not there. But because someone is wealth, and because someone was the one who was sent by Lungu to organize arrests of now the president Hakainde Hichilema, and now the president Hakainde Hichilema also uses the police to allege that she stole because she's wealth, And the other point which I want to say is that the time when Charity Katanga was stopping the campaigns, not approving or application of UPND to do his opposition rallies, they are now twisted as proceeds of crime because she's wealth. That's what I call unfair arrest, which was instituted on me. So when we talk about these things, we understand them, and God allow us to pass through them so that we can understand the visions and dreams. To say this democracy is a democracy that is after people's lives who are not subjected to the Vatican, to America, to Europe in short, because they are using it to loot our natural resources. So now, I also referred in this letter to say, in the introduction of this letter, there is what I call, the second, judgment. I said, see Judge Msimang, see a lecture paragraph. Judge Msimang, actually, it was a court order that that Judge Msimang gave. I had it here. Let me check. Yeah, here is a draft order for Judge Msimang. This draft order was actually dated 10th November 2020. Upon taking the case before the High Court, claiming that I'm being persecuted, and the UN is not willing to pay my rent as they promised. Before I read the court order, let me show you the email which was written by Get Brunex to me on 26 June, which says, "Dear Mr. Masuka, thank you for your email. I acknowledge receipt and will provide you with telephonic feedback regarding your immediately situation today. Please rest assured that the protection team is working on your case, including your request to be reallocated out of South Africa, and will provide you with formal feedback as soon as it is available. Regards, Get." This is the email which was replied to me by the protection officer Get Brunex, assuring me that they are taking care of my fears, they are taking care of my complaints, and they are going to reallocate me from South Africa. So now, which I was also making a follow-up, which was said to me in 2013 when I visited United Nations. They said, no, the recommendations from Home Affairs, we are going to resettle you after 2 years. So by asking to say, I'm not safe here in South Africa, what about the resettlement which you promised to say it will be done in 2 years' time? It is twisted. In this same statement, it is twisted. Please rest assured that the protection team is working on your case, including your request to be reallocated. You get the twisting of justice. Now it is my request, but before it was their promise. So now, because I had the telephonic records and the emails that I wrote to UN and their responses, my email is no longer accessible to me. They got my phone, they changed the password, they changed the phone numbers, transferred, changed them, and when I lost the phone, for me to follow up my phone numbers from MTN, they told me, no, your number has been ported back to Telecom. I go to Telecom, I find that my numbers were registered under different names. All that was done in order for me not to obtain the evidence of communication between me and the United Nations, the evidence of communication of my filing before the High Court. So now, when you see systems like that are eager to destroy evidence to that extent, it's because of the same corruption that we are talking about in government. So now, with this email in my hand, I want to refer now to the point that when I said I'll provide evidence, I've already provided evidence of the draft order, which I want to read now to prove that when Judge Msimang of the High Court made this order, this draft order, on the 10th, 11, 2020, he says, having read the papers and the report filed of record and my agreement between the parties in order is granted in the following terms. The applicant be subjected to psychosocial evaluation by a registered psychiatric as soon as possible. Why this order was filed, why this order, this condition was made an order, it was because the UN with the Home Affairs, which in the first order, they were requested to make a report on me. Then they filed in a private psychological report by Dr. Langa, who is a social worker for United Nations. So now, this is what was arrived at by the judge. Then, I'll prove that I objected this. I objected and rejected it because I saw to read that it was evil. Why did I see to read that it was evil? Because the same Dr. Langa took me to Johannesburg Hospital in 2014 for psychological mental examination. And the report was given that everything was normal and there were no signs of epilepsy, though it cannot be ruled out. So this report stands as witness to me that my mental capacity was certified by Johannesburg Hospital, that I was fine. So now, with all this, they filed a report. This is the report which they filed before the High Court. CSVR. That led the judge to actually rule, to say I must be subjected to psychological evaluation. So now, let me read some few. If you know how a doctor can report, I have another report which was faked within the proceeding in the Magistrate Court that was written by a doctor. It does not express the illness in a manner this report was written. So here is a psychological assessment report. This is the Center for the Study of Violence and Reconciliation. The first time when I went to this clinic, which is called the Trauma Clinic, I went there for psychological trauma counseling and reconciliation, which they ended up taking me for mental examination because they were saying that you might be traumatized. So this man comes years later when I had taken the standing committee to the High Court for the negligence without them considering my suffering. So this man writes it says psychological assessment report. Name, Mr. Alex Masuka. Nationality, Zambian. Gender, male. Reason for referral. Mr. Masuka was referred to clinic for trauma counseling by lawyers for human rights. However, upon my assessment, it is evident that Mr. Masuka did not present with the symptom of trauma or PTC, but symptom of paranoid schizophrenia. So this is the report that was filed before High Court privately. It was not even saved to me in order for the Home Affairs of South Africa and the United Nations to present before the High Court privately that I was suffering from trauma. If you read, it says Mr. Masuka attended more eight therapy. Is also making mistakes like me, who was writing my letters whilst I was in a tent sleeping on the street. Him is actually, because he's lying. He's not even putting his statement correctly. He says, I attended 8 therapy sessions with me at CSVR Trauma Clinic. In the session, Mr. Masuka explained presenting problem that he feels secret agents from Zambia. How can a person feel secret agents? Agent felt in the body to say I'm feeling secret agents when I had evidence of people that came at Johannesburg when I was at 10 Harris. A man came using a fake ID of Botswana driving license, of his nationality. He claims he was a Dube, but this man is from Zambia, a Mr. Mwamba in Zambia. So now, when you say I felt that they are secret agents, when I was able, is it Mwava, Mr. Mwava from Zambia. So if I could present to you the name of a person that followed me in that apartment where I was living, and I presented the name and the details of the driving license to the Home Affairs, to Home Affairs, and to the police, then you say, I felt secret agents. Then he goes on to say, from his home country, have him following him around in South Africa, and the secret agents want to kill him and his family. He narrated that he is a prophet who has predicted that Zambian president, you see, even the English itself, that Mr. Levi Manawasa to die mysteriously. So you can see that when someone is lying, doesn't even say the truth. I've never at one point called myself a prophet. I'm a messenger. That must be made clear. I've never by any time called myself a prophet. I've always referred to say people who approve my visions who call me a prophet. He asserted that he made the prophets to be known publicly, but people did not take him serious in Zambia until President died. He asserted that Mr. Manawasa's death, he started getting death threats and decided to leave Zambia and came to South Africa. Mr. Masuka repeated in our session that he has a strong vision to see bad things before they happen. So the English, just imagine someone who is called a doctor who cannot even write what is in his mind, because this statement they are making up, they are not even part. I never mentioned them in the time when I went to Langa. I just went there for trauma counseling. I just went there to be ascertained when if my mental capacity is not traumatized. That's all what I went. I never explained anything of this nature to Dr. Langa to a point that he can write it this. So they were making these stories in the aftermath, because I went to Dr. Langa in 2014, but this report is for 2015. So now, here it is. He continues to say, he feels he is not safe in South Africa as secret agents are out to kill him because 2 presidents died because he was their death. He was their death in his visions before they happened. I don't understand what he's trying to say. Even me, who was writing out of trauma, out of hiding. I remember reading yesterday the first paragraph of my letter. I said, no, I could not construct it nicely. And I was running. It was my way that I was going to Angola, that I made a stopover on my way coming back to attend to Hakainde Hichilema. Traumatized with a false arrest, with a false allegation of schizophrenia, false admission in a mental hospital for 3 months and some weeks detained in a prison facility, and 3 weeks and some days detained in a mental hospital, destined to be injected for a death lethal injection on 18th October. Running away from there, looking for safety, writing a letter. I was stressed, traumatized. But here is a person who claims to say he was actually assessing my mental capability. He can't even write a correct English. He can't even write a sensible report. So, in this session, he says Mr. Masuka denied that he was suffering from mental illness. So now, if he says I denied him from suffering mental illness, so him went in my body and found the feelings of mental illness. Look, including paranoid schizophrenia. He insisted that he needs to be resettled far from South Africa as he is feeling unsafe here. His fears seem to be disproportionate and unfounded. He believes that people are always following him. He is worried about his safety, including his family. In terms of my assessment, some of these fears to be disillusional, but he is in denial about this. I referred him to our resident psychiatrist who also confirmed the diagnosis as paranoid schizophrenia. This statement, when I went to Johannesburg Hospital in 2014, I was referred, and I've shown you the result. The result says normal. But him here is lying. He says schizophrenia. There is no schizophrenia on this report. It says conclusion. It's unfortunately here, it's too rapid. I think I'll look for another paper. Here it says normal EEG included no eclipse included. Okay, this is the result. I think I'll look for another report that is actually very clear here. The photocopy here is not indicating, so it is somehow not clear. I'll show it, but it says normal EEG result. When it says normal EEG result, him says it was paranoid schizophrenia. I would need him to produce that evidence. Let me go to the file that I opposed this same report that I filed before the High Court that led to my arrest. This is the huge file that I filed before the High Court, which I prepared. This is a Pragat's note. It is an application for oral notice of motion, application for oral hearing. So now I want to read on page 37. I said oral evidence to be tendered in court. Number 6, UNHR Paranoid Schizophrenia Medical Report. I challenged this one because they saw the way I challenged it. Then that's how they did arrange for trespass arrest. And I have a video, a voice record leading to the details of how this arrest was arranged, which the pastor of a certain church who actually came to brief me about the planned arrangement to arrest me, and it actually happened. So now, that Dr. Langa assessment report recommends, for it is based on the 4 horsemen of Calam: fear, ignorance, bigotry, and smear by UNHCR, for it contains inconsistent and false and unfounded allegations that do not represent the purpose of NPO CSVR as a trauma clinic, rendering UNHCR's defense null and void, as pleading is vague and embarrassing, or lack of necessary averment to disclose the cause of action or defense in claiming that I have a mental illness of paranoid schizophrenia. Then I said, see Dr. Langa assessment report annexure SD 14. So this is the annexure that I had to attach on this application before the High Court, criticizing it as a false report. And when I criticize it as a false report, I wouldn't need much to spend much of my time on it. Here it is. I put it on page on page 84 of my application, and I underlined my points of arguments. So now, I further said, referring to the report that I was reading, I said, 1, that what is shocking is Dr. Langa referred me to Chocolate Moscow Johannesburg Academic Hospital in June 2014, and the neurophysiological department EEG area 455 declared results is normal EEG report, and the CSVR wrote a report opposed to his assessment on 14th May 2015. CSRV and is tendered to the court as a medical report on 28/10/2020 without medical examination and without it being given to me. How is it that possible? If this report is not a means of smearing in attempt to utter the legitimate result from Johannesburg Hospital, Dr. Dandai, see Johannesburg EE report dated 18/06/2014, SD 15. I hope on this file I may find the report with a clear, yes, here it is. Yeah, here is a clear report. Thank you. I've gotten that copy. Here is a clear. It says normal EEG does not exclude epilepsy. So this normal EEG, it shows that my mental capacity was operating in a good status. But how come someone who is who is called a doctor tends to do what? Tenders something that is contrary to the original. This is how we are saying these courts, at times, they operate as colonial master agents, because when they are bribed to change the truth to a lie, someone can be dramatized and everyone might believe that a person is actually mentally ill. I won't continue reading this because I may lose the most important purpose of actually proving to Hakainde Hichilema to say all these arrests that are done basically on suspicion that someone has wealth beyond the salary are actually baseless, a manufactured accusation against those who were used by the previous government against him. I want to say that when my illness was faked, I have more evidence that I can even show that when I was arrested as trespass, I was taken to the magistrate court, and there at magistrate court they said, "What made you to go to sleep at the United Nations?" They were recording. Those records are there. I simply answered that I received visions and dreams, and that's what led me to be persecuted. I came here because those visions and dreams gave me political opinion, and I was threatened with political. I came here, and my life is being threatened here in South Africa. And I went to UN. They paid rent for me for 3 months, and after 3 months they had to leave me with nowhere to go. 2 months. The 3rd month they didn't pay. So they left me without anywhere to go. But after writing an email to me, they could not even take what I was saying. But they were all leading to find me with a case. Oh, you are talking Jesus. Oh my God, Jesus. I think this person need the mental evaluation. So this is how I was taken to Steve Biko Hospital for mental evaluation. The doctor asked me all the questions that he asked me. I still remember them today. Asked me when I was born, where I was born, the village, what happened in Zambia. I explained each question according accurately. Then he asked me, were you diagnosed with schizophrenia? I said, never. I even proved to say, if you want that, I can show you a copy from Johannesburg Hospital, which says that I was normal. So now, he wrote and he told that the arresting officer, the one who took me there, to say, no, this person is okay. And wrote the results in English as I was observing. He was seated on a table and I was reading what he was writing. He had the question paper and he was writing against those questions. But when we reached at the court, the court was said, no, this person was diagnosed. The doctor says he's not able to represent himself, he's sick. I was shocked. The time when I was taken to detention, those prisoner warders, they were saying, this one is mentally ill. This one is mentally ill. Then they even gave a 25 December as a date of what? Of my appearance to court. Then I asked to say, why is it 27, 25? No, because you are mentally ill. So they dramatized my illness. And when my wife comes to court, they tell my wife to say, your husband, they asked him he's already at Viscopes at mental hospital. Well, I was not at mental hospital, I was still at what? Correctional service. They said, they asked him to say, they held a matchbox and asked him, what is this? He said that it's a phone. He can't even tell what is it. So they dramatize some of those things. I did not even pay attention as my wife was telling me, the way they could tell my wife to say, I was ill. If I was not talking through a phone to my wife whilst in detention, she was going to believe. that indeed they succeeded to make me a mental patient. So now, the reality of my argument is not to support corruption in politics. In my yesterday's message on the 90 days national prayer, I said, I can even say, if Masuka has stolen, there is evidence that I've stolen, a hand must be chopped. If a politician has stolen, and the records, it says, Charity Katanga, police commissioner, received 20 million to build houses for police officers. Instead, he built one house and built a hotel for herself using that 20 million. Then here is the evidence. The report, financial report, shows that 20 million was given, shows that, again, the house which was built, it was only for 1 million. Then 19 million went missing. Then it is right for the government to arrest that person and to detain that person, or to chop the hand. So that when 10 politicians are chopped and 50 civilians have been chopped for stealing, the nation won't steal. I'll leave my money on the street. I'll find it the day I'll come. Thank you very much for understanding my point. I'm not defending crime, but I'm simply saying the charges against President Edgar Lungu's family, they are unfounded, because these people never worked in the government anywhere, including the wife to President Lungu. She never worked in the government. She was the first lady to the president, who was paid by the government. So, we continue. I just wanted to make some clarification that my arrest was unlawful, despite those who were respondents providing evidence from the doctors who they bribed, even at Viscopis, they bribed for a report which was written schizophrenia. I'll show it. It's there. I have it. But it's among the papers that I have, but not now. Let me proceed with the letter where I stopped yesterday, so that we can help President Hakainde Hichilema to make an informed decision. Zambia must cancel all political cases without documented evidence. And Zambia must call for a united Africa under Traore. Zambia must reclaim the mines. Zambia must remove all military bases called AFRICOM. Whether it's AFRICOM, it's a military base. What are they doing? What is the benefit? Too many people are disappearing. People are running into exile. The shooting at Mufumbe mine, where over 50 people claimed to be dead, and the government says it's only 2. Even when it is 2 or 1 who has died, is a person, is a human being. It deserves to live. Dying over minerals which are given by God to Zambians, but the government is protecting them for our donor support, aid. That is unfair. Page 3, as I continue. This letter is a letter of love. When one tells you the truth, despite that it is painful, truth is love. Paragraph 4, as I continue. God has sent me after being wrongly arrested on 24 May 2021 for trespass at UN and lawfully detained at Kosimapuru prison for 4 months and falsely accused of paranoid schizophrenia, a mental disorder condition, in a bid to silence the voice of reason. Yes, I repeat, God sent me to rescue you at a higher risk to be handed over to my enemies of truth, because you are not taking my cause or replying to my SMS out of God's love towards his ministry to save you, your family, Zambia, governments of Africa, and the world from fulfillment of the pigpen predicament prophecy. Yes, I come with my family, my wife Joyce, and 2 children, Petronella and Prudence, to get God's life-saving message to you, President Hakainde Hichilema, and former President Lungu, as God spoke clearly that I have to put together all his revealed word in 12 volumes. Paragraph 5. This is done behind the cameras and in closed doors without people's knowledge of what is happening behind the scenes. I mean those who voted for you because of your sincere good promises you made to the nation that Bali will fix the economy. The truth is, you cannot fix the economy without heeding to God's revealed word in the 12 volumes of shocking truth, fulfilled revelation of love, and revelation of the last remnant of God's church. Your servant went to exile in 2012 after the assassination attempt. The truth is, we are both wanted differently by different enemies, but same agenda: to use the government to keep the natural resources out of reach to Zambians, to visions and dreams that speaks moral law of God against homosexuality and promoting love to God and our neighbors. Look, I said the agenda by enemies to keep the government natural resources out of reach of Zambians. So those who are killed, it is this what I said, that the government is being used to keep the natural resources out of reach to the citizens. So when someone rejects such letters that are written with spiritual foresight, and someone says this person is sick of schizophrenia, it is the highest crime committed against humanity. It is the highest crime committed against God himself, the Creator. Who is the source of these visions and dreams? The reason why visions and dreams are classified enemy number 1, even in the SDA church, when they say, no, we don't want you, Alex, to dream, because dreams were ended with Ellen G. White. Now we are just waiting for the second coming of Jesus Christ. The second coming of Jesus Christ, when we still have a lot of final events that are pending. The truth that SDA Saturday Sabbath is not the 7th-day Sabbath must reach to all corners of the world. No matter how much they can suppress this truth, it must reach all corners of the world. Then Jesus will come, because truth would have prevailed. At the moment, the 10 Commandments that is being preached is half truth, because the Sabbath is not Saturday, and the Sunday is not the first day of the week. Scripture is there to prove that. So, I said, my humble plea for seeking your protection of God's ministry of vision and dreams, not to be misrepresented as bipolar or paranoid schizophrenia, as I escaped from this Copy's mental hospital where I was detained on false allegations of trespass at UN and paranoid schizophrenia, to silence the voice of reason. The major sin I committed to SDA General Conference leadership is to be a voice of reason out of God's love in calling for true church Bible-based reformation on tithe, true seventh-day Sabbath based on the moon calendar, and other doctrines to the SDA church towards God's 10 commandments. The believer is aided and saved by grace. Love your neighbor as you love yourself, doctrine of Christ. Faith and seeking from Vatican. The freedom of worship and the removal of the Declaration of Christian Nation, because in the positive evaluation of our differences in doctrines with love and without intimidation or threats to life. I was saying that this evaluation of our differences must be free from intimidation and free from threats to life. If religion can be religion, we must accept positive criticism. Let me say SDA is lying by saying Jesus Christ entered into the Holy of Holies in 1844 without being threatened, without being insulted. They must provide also proof to the public using the same media, using the same tone that I'm using to say, no, here is a scripture that says Jesus Christ actually entered 1844. That is positive criticism and positive response. If I say there is no tithe in the New Testament, SDA must come out also using the same Facebook and say, here is a scripture that says tithe was given by Paul, or tithe was given after the cross. That is how people should be given what we call freedom of expression, freedom of faith. If I say there is corruption in the SDA church, I prove it. To say here is corruption, they must also prove that the corruption is not there because we are not eating the money as pastors, we are building houses for orphans, we are giving them clothes, we are buying them everything that they need, we are feeding them. Here is proof. Now, without the proof, then someone is penalized as a liar and he has to be killed because he's saying that the church does not care for widows and orphans. This is where at times we must actually remove everything that is called allegations of crime of proceeds. So when we are removing that crime of proceeds allegations, I want to clarify to say when I'm against cases of proceeds of crime without factual evidence, it is the basis on which I was arrested. It is the basis on which the judgment in the magistrate court was carried. It is the basis of how I was detained without a trial on my trespass and intimidation, but which was overcrowded by a false allegation of mental illness. My rescuing through an angel of God, the doctor, that they want to kill you with a lethal injection, which they are saying they want to scan your brain. They want to put an injection so that the brain can showcase visions and dreams. It was very unusual. Because I asked, why are you taking me for a scan when I'm on my way to be discharged? And no, you need the government needs a clear report so that, I said, what clear report you need? Tell me, what clear report? No, we need to see the source of visions. In my head, can a machine detect? And no, they just want to, the doctor failed to, the doctor who was interviewing me regarding that 18 October appointment failed to give exactly what was the purpose of my mental scanning. And I was helped to escape death from these copies. My wife came, they told my wife to say, look, your husband, the day he came in here, we knew that he was not sick. What happened? And when my wife went to take the copies of my, the covers of my books that I wrote and showed them to say, and the book, and the books actually, and the letters, and showed them to say, this is what led my husband to flee Zambia. And this is what he wrote. They said, okay, we are going to take these books and give it to the doctor. So, I will say other details later, but I want to say whatever led me to be rescued from these copies, it was because of the truth that it was availed to them. They realized, and one of the doctors says, why didn't they bring Pastor Mboro, who said he went to heaven, he took photos from heaven. Why didn't they bring him here? Because at least that one, we can say maybe it can be a mental case. What about Pastor Bushiri, also who claimed that he took some photograph or whatever, he flew in the air? Can he come and demonstrate how he flies in the air? So those are issues that doctors were discussing. The whole of this copies. What is it that you have done? Trespass, bringing you all this far? Even at Kosimapuru, they were actually having meeting on this other day when the date of hearing was changed, and this investigating officer, whose name I've just forgotten whose name, but I think I'll remember it later. He came and with a friend to come and pick me. This prisoner warder heard they were talking in a language. They were in a juvenile mood, celebrating. Then I had already called my wife to say, Mama, I went to the toilet with a phone. I called my wife and said that, Mama, they are taking me privately to the hospital. I think there's something they have just announced now when I'm on a queue outside in the morning to say, Masuka, you are going to the hospital, you are going to the court. And then I was surprised. How can I go to the court with such emergency without arrangement? There was a plan to sneak me out of jail using the court procedure in order to go and inject me in a private hospital and bring me as a sick person back into the into the cells, so that they say Mr. Masuka died whilst in detention. That was the plan. But God fought his way. When I called my wife, she was on her way to the court. And when I reached at the reception, when the female police warder listened to the conversation of those private police officers in private clothes who were taking me privately, not together with other prisoners, she called one of them to say, please, can you come? I think your photocopy for your ID is not clear. Can I get you a photo? Then he got a photo using the desktop. Then he says, sorry. This photo, this ID, is it for you or for this one? It is for that one. No, sorry, I got a wrong one. Let me delete this one. She actually pretended to delete it because it goes into the recycle bin, and the recycle bin, you can take it back. Fine. Then the second man, when the second man was caught, then their faces, all of them, they fell. They realized that it was something strange, because the 3 times they took me in the similar manner, there were no photos taken. But on that 4th time, when they took me, trying to sneak me out of Kosimampuru, it was evident that they were aiming to go and actually even kill me and bring me dead, because those incidents are happening and they are real. So when they were taking the photos, they were quiet. Surprisingly, when you are coming out of the court for the first time ever, they called someone in the court. No, can you prepare? We are coming with Mr. Masuka to the court. Then this person answering like they are shocked. How come he's coming to court? Because I was not aimed to go to court. So this is what makes me understand that when courts are victim of imperialist system, the colonial master system, to silence people who are standing for Africa, who are standing for Africa to unite, who are standing for justice, who are a voice of reason, then it becomes dangerous to live. Even when I'm speaking around about this, and those who are involved in pursuing my life, I know where they are. They are inching to reach me. But I thank God who has proven to me that I must not be a stupid Christian who believes that when someone comes with weapons, me, I should pray. I'll never pray. I'll never pray. And my God will never pray. He's going to protect and fight for me. I want to think and believe that those who are anointed, for you to frame, to touch the anointed, your family, your children, your grandchildren, they'll be dying without living the fullest. Whatsoever money that you can collect in order to fight this ministry, you are going to die. I've given examples like what I explained today. Lungu was Minister of Home Affairs under Michael Sata, who I warned openly, Michael Sata, I want to pray for you so that this revelation of 2008, which I saw you, Michael Sata, lying on State House veranda with a wound on your head, with your wound on the shoulder, with your wound on the chest, so that it cannot take place. Amos Chand, George Chela, heard me speak. They insulted me. I'll actually showcase the insult of Amos Chand as my closing remarks. George Chela, I'll show you the insult. I have them. So, what is it that I'm trying to put across? I'm trying to put across to say, when I'm writing to Hakainde Hichilema, and when I'm exposing what was happening to me in the court, these allegations, they are not meant to fight anyone. It's a reality. You should know that there is a testimony of reality. What has happened to me and what is happening. The drama around everyone who is actually being accused. I also explained about Zuma being accused of the window, being accused about the crow, being accused. The same thing the government was building. That's where the corruption of Zuma is attached. Bring back the money you stole, Zuma, because you asked for a big window than what was budgeted for. A president alleging theft on a window built by the state on his house is the same thing that I was talking about on Chiluba. To say Chiluba used the government money to make his designer suits where it is written FTJ Chiluba, doctor. Because he put doctor, I don't know which school that gave him doctorate. But as far as he was called doctor, he put his doctor designer badge on the shoes, long heel. So those are the shoes that were shown from UK in the court, imperialist court, convicting our leaders as criminals because they refused to finish the privatization. Sata has been killed because of taking back the government, government company, starting with Zemtel. He was aiming to bring back the mines back. So they had to shoot him. He was shot in the chest in the fulfillment of that dream. So When I wrote this letter, I'm still coming to George Chela. When I wrote this letter to Hakainde Hichilema, I was not traveling to Zambia. I was running for my life to Angola. But God returned me and says, go and own Hakainde Hichilema. Remind him of what I told you. When I wrote this letter to Hakainde Hichilema, it was in private. It was not supposed to be read publicly. But because of lack of appreciation of God's will, it must be read as a witness against him, against Zambia, against everyone that is surrounding him, against all those that are following me in order to harm my life. You must know to say, death lingers on your footsteps, because what I'm doing is not natural. And even myself, I don't understand myself. I don't know myself. I don't know why God chose me to be speaker of people who don't want to listen, but instead they are eager to persecute me. Listen to what George Chela said. When I had the numbers of these people, because I was rubbing their shoulders. This was 12. This was 14th December 2014. Why should I even hate you? Do I know you? Your so-called crossing path with my boss. Do I know anything about that? And what transpired? I'm not even interested to save. So save me, you shit, please. That was the insult from George Chela. Pretending that he doesn't know me, but he gave me his phone number. And I was chatting with him. He says, thanks. I answered, Alex Masuka, I answered, thanks. Good time. This was on a WhatsApp. Remember, Noah was called a madman. I think let me start, which page is this? Yeah, I think it's the right thing. So, he says, fuck off. Stop inboxing me. I think this insult is too heavy for me to, you can read it from the picture that is being zoomed. Any insane person can see that you are mad. Why do you waste your time on me? I need nothing from you, but check on my prophets. Thanks. Anyway, fuck off. Do you force prophets on recipients? Why are you desperate? Fake prophet. Go to hell, son of Lucifer. No wonder your church chased you. So he makes it wonder. No wonder your church chased you. Meaning what? Let me say. Then I said, after Sata is HH. So I was on point by saying after Sata is HH. This is in 2014. But people come in 2021 and say, I saw Sata. I saw HH is going to win the elections. When me, I'm on record that HH was going to win. Not in 2014 alone, but before that. 2012, I was already in record. 2007, I was already in record, pointing to Hakainde Hichilema to win. But this was in accordance to prophecy. I was not campaigning for him. I was reminding George Chela to say, the prophecy of Sata's death has been fulfilled. What is remaining is HH coming into power. And today, I'm talking about HH. People, they say, I hate him. Why should I hate him? a person that I knew that was going to come to win. So he says, SDA doesn't even want you near them. So what has HH done now? Then I says, I prophesied in 2008 that HH will succeed SATA. Watch the space and prove me fake and false prophets. So this is the argument with me and George Chela. George Chela is alive. You can confirm. This is a proof that when I'm writing letters to Hakainde Hichilema, when I'm warning Hakainde Hichilema about the dangers faced in his administration, in his leadership, I'm not framing anything against him. I'm not wishing him ill. I'm not wishing him dead. Yesterday, he was saying, I'm scanning everything in a speech that he gave yesterday. Says, I'm scanning everything in social media. And some were wishing that I'm dead because of my disappearance. I'm mourning. But I want to say that I'm not wishing Hakainde Hichilema anything wrong. But if you can listen to what I'm trying to put in here, it's proof that I'm not suffering from schizophrenia. I was talking to people who are still alive, and I was talking to them in 2014, like this one, George Chela, putting it in writing, referring to 2008 to say, I saw that HH is going to rule after SATA. The leadership that HH is ruling is that of Michael Sata, because PF is Michael Sata. Lungu has died. He simply took over from Michael Sata when he has died. So the actual prophecy, it has no mistake. It is the same with when Daniel says, after you, Nebuchadnezzar, another kingdom shall come. Medo-Persia shall raise. And when Nebuchadnezzar fought the prophet until Daniel ran and went into exile, he went into forest, then into the forest, then Nebuchadnezzar went insane. He ate grass in fulfillment of the declaration of Daniel. In the process of the sickness of what? Of Belshazzar, of Nebuchadnezzar. Belshazzar took his place. And also, people that time say, oh, look, Daniel, your prophecy has failed. You said after Nebuchadnezzar. So what about this Belshazzar who is ruling? According to the prophecies, when you rule in the same state of the of the previous ruler, you are considered as Sata. So PF, after Sata, it was HH. And it is true that HH has led after PF Sata. In the prophecy of Joseph and the new king, in reference to Obama, I also said the same way. After Joseph, a new king rose who never recognized Joseph, and he stopped aid. Exactly when a symbol of a slave, Barack Obama, ruled. After him, a new king, Donald Trump, rose, who never recognized until today. Donald Trump and Barack Obama, they've never had a friendly meeting or discussion. Only when Barack Obama was handing over power. That is how accurate my prophecies or God's prophecies are. They don't miss any single step. When I'm reading this letter, I just want to make sure that you understand it, to say I'm referring to these incidences that I said years back. But people still want to clamor to make a camouflage that I'm insane, that I'm sick mental. But when things that are written and evidence is there, that I spoke about HH winning in 2008 after SATA, which is a clear indication that when one is truly speaking God's revelation is classified as schizophrenia and he is wanted dead. I said, a hitman has said to kill me. This is how I described this in this book. So now, I'll discuss further to say what George Chela said. I continue as my closing remarks. He says, you are a lunatic, just as predicted. So your sole purpose of engaging me into a conversation was for you to take our chats public. This is when I actually took these chats into Watchdog. I posted this in Watchdog so that everyone can know that I'm insulted for a prophecy that has been fulfilled in my pursuit to save the life of President Sata, and I was misunderstood. I was called name. I fled to exile and arrested. I've gone through all those things. A lot of allegations have been leveled against me. Then he says, oh, try harder next time at prophet. Well, continue with your illusions and idiots. It's for this same reason that I blocked you on my WhatsApp and ignore your chats. You are a fake prophet. In fact, you need to check medical attention. Your head needs some urgent attention. I honestly feel sorry. I didn't know your problem was this serious. Fuck off. For your own information, it's me now replying. I was taken to Johannesburg Academic Hospital by the lawyers of human rights on the basis of my profess. The results prove that I was not mad. If you want, I can send you the file number and the contact details for you to call them. I'm actually confirming on the discussion that I've been discussing in reference to the letter that I wrote to Hakainde Hichilema. So now, he replied, you are mad, Ivamasuka. Please go back to the hospital. Even your photos look sick. Hope you are eating pantu. You look machinized. Is it malnutritional? Please find time and chat with me serious. I have friends that can look after you with something sustainable right there in Joburg. I'm sad, honestly. You are wasting Bakalamba. Return home and be with family. So when you read this context, he says he has friends that can sustain my life in Joburg. And when I'm saying that I'm persecuted in the country of Asylum, it tends to be a lie. But here is a person I'm talking to. He says he has friends here in Joburg. So now, if he has friends in Joburg, can those friends fail to allocate me when they can trace me using my phone? When he has my phone number? So it is possible that the government is involved in my persecution here in the country of Asylum. Then I says, please, I need that time to chat because matters of God are foolishness or madness to many people. My visions are tested and they can be proven from 1990. Last time, I asked you to ask the first Republican president, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, about my prophets, for he challenged them and later proved them. I still ask you to ask him. If Dr. Kenneth Kaunda agrees with you, then I think I can go back to the hospital again under your observation. Then he concluded to say, you are mad. This is sent from Messenger on Facebook. So I had to take these things for commissioning the police in 2018 so that nothing has changed. So this was before my arrest. This discussion was before my arrest. This discussion was before the allegations of mental illness by the UN and the government of South Africa. So now, I want to say that when I refer to the government of South Africa, because Home Affairs was the one mandated by Judge Musingman to seek a report regarding my well-being. And instead of bringing the report that I need accommodation pending to the application of the court, they said I was mentally ill, alleging that I'm suffering from schizophrenia. So in this letter to you, President Hakainde Hichilema, in the first part, I was trying to elaborate the difficulties that I'm faced with because of visions and dreams, which are meant to save Zambia. Not only Zambia, Africa from being used as a resourceful center for the West, when us, we are made to be slaves, when the education that we are given from grade 7, from grade 1 to grade 7, from grade 8 to grade 12, there is no qualification of work until you go to the college. When you are old enough, you have lost even touch with the real life to prosperity. Then you go to college, you go to university, still you are not yet qualified to do anything, meaning that we are wasting all our years in education, which is only meant to write how many trucks, how many copper kg that has been mined to Europe. And no one is educated to mine them. No one is educated to produce finished product from our natural resources. When an African discovers the natural resources, they are killed using a gun under administration of Hakainde Hichilema. And they are arrested for possessing what? Gold as a stolen item. But these are preserved for our colonial masters who have come dressed as investors, who have come dressed as donors. When they give us grant, children grant, old age grant, because they have removed what was sustaining us under Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. Under the first president of Kaunda, US dollar was 1 to 1, and 3 kwacha was able for a worker to look after the grandparents, grandchildren, to feed the family, because the economy was well supported by natural resources. But they used Chiluba to say, hey, government should not own companies. It's a sheer waste of money because government cannot manage to run companies. Let's investors come in, private investors. Anglo-America came in, and Anglo-America employed HH, and Anglo-America is the buyer of the same mines today. Anglo-America is the same sponsor of this political assassination in whatever form. Whosoever who is doing it, we still find also what is called AFRICOM. For what? Soldiers for America. To do what in Zambian soil, in Africa. May they pack and go in Jesus' name. Thank you very much for listening. My appeal is, Hakainde Hichilema, go back to these letters and read them in full. If you come back to me within this period of the 90 days of prayer, I'll thank God and I'll stop reading these letters. As long as you are not coming back to me, I'll read almost everything that I've written to you. I'll read also what I read to Manawasa as evidence that I'm not against Zambia. I'm not against South Africa. I'm not against the UN. I'm not against the court. I'm not against these copies. But they are being used against me. May God bless you.